episode of HiFI Mafia TV. Today we have Logan Rosencrans, who is the International Sales Manager for Boulder Amplifiers. Also joining me here today from the HiFI Mafia is Howard Neller of the Listening Chair,
Right.
Daniel Barbour from Bass Therapy,
What's up, boys?
Giles McCoy of Giles McCoy.
Hey, everybody.
And of course, myself, the Hi-Fi Turtle.
The only
The
reptile
leading
Continue
and
to-
only reptile adjacent hi-fi channel on the internet until hi-fi iguana pops up or something like that. So
Yeah, enjoy your spot in the highlight while it lasts. Man.
while it lasts. So Logan, thank you so much for joining us this Sunday afternoon. We're so excited to have you on the show. So, just to start, tell us a little bit about Boulder, how the company got started, some details about it for those out there who may not be familiar with the brand.
Sure. So this is actually our 40th year anniversary. So we've been around for 40 years. It started with Jeff Nilsson, who's the owner and founder of the company. And his background before it was Boulder Amplifiers was in broadcast and recording studios. So he started doing that before doing Boulder, but had been working, as a Macintosh repairman before that. So long history of the industry.
Nice.
But he's still currently the sole owner of Boulder and lead engineer. So
Awesome.
what else would you like
cool.
to know regarding that? If you wanted to go deeper, I could, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you have more
Talk
pressing
a little bit-
questions too.
Talk
I got a
about a
question
little bit
for
about
you.
go ahead, Howard.
Oh, sorry. So obviously the name is, Boulder Amplifiers. So did the company just start out with an amplifier or a couple amplifiers?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Sure.
You
So
were
the company's
cutting
name is
out on my
Boulder
end.
Amplifiers. When they started out, did they just sell amplifiers?
Yeah, it was just amplifiers and actually mic pre's. So, and it was just outside of Boulder, Colorado. That's where the name comes from.
I was about to ask that question.
Yeah, so it was just amplifiers, and it was for recording studios, more namely Westlake Studios in California. Had a lot of their equipment in the very early days. And then he didn't start in like a stereo system. He made a 500 AE, and that was the first thing that was getting into homes after the studios. But it was just amplifiers and mic pre's at the very beginning.
Awesome.
Gotcha. So kind of evolving in the Boulder, what's the company direction? Like, what's the company mission? What's Boulder all about? Like, what are you guys trying to accomplish in the world today?
Well, I think the mission is still somewhat the same. Jeff having his background in recording studios, what goes in has to come out just because musicians require that. And another thing is reliability. So we're trying to build the absolute best that we can with the least amount of distortion, really big amplifiers too, but also downsizing for, to expand the brand so it can get to more people. So it's really just the most neutral, highest performing stuff that we can, and everything done all under one roof. So that's kind of our goal.
Yeah, you guys do a ton of stuff in-house. You have your large manufacturing facility. I know it's not in Boulder proper, but talk to us a little bit about like your in-house capabilities and like your machining and things of that nature. Yeah,
so it's actually in Louisville, Colorado, which is about 15 minutes away from Boulder, and we have 5 CNC machines that do all the milling of the chassis. And then we have 2 SMT machines, which is surface mount technology for the boards. And that's all done under one roof. So all the engineers here are designing. I can just walk, about 100 feet that way and then get to the machining area. So it just gives us a really good sense of control over the end product. But
So you
we
make your
also
own board?
have,
I'm sorry.
what was that?
I want to cut you off. Good.
Yes, I think you were asking if we do our own boards. We don't do the raw boards ourselves because there's a lot of chemicals involved with that. But all of the components that go onto the boards, we either assemble by hand, or the really, really tiny components we use the SMT machine for. So,
okay. And you guys have like a clean room there or something?
Since we're not dealing with chemicals directly, whether it's anodize or the raw boards, we don't have to have a clean room.
Okay.
But we source that locally. So just 20 minutes away in Longmont is where we do our boards. And then the anodizer is in Denver, about 20 minutes the other direction.
Now, you mentioned an SMT machine. Is that a pick and place machine?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so for folks that haven't seen these, Google that, because these things are really cool. I mean, your board comes up, and then you've got this little robotic arm. It's putting all the parts. It's amazing. They're super cool. They're fun to watch just in and of itself.
Yeah, so we do a program where so the machine is like a box, and then there's reels of different parts along the side of it. And a robotic arm is programmed to know when to pick up which part and where to place it. And it's actually like a little vacuum that sucks it up and then can place it perfectly. It's a lot easier to do, a lot faster than doing little bitty parts by hand.
Oh, super precise too. It's the way to do it for sure.
How many axes is your CNC machines?
It's a 3-axis. Yep.
3-axis. Okay.
Yeah. We don't have a need for a 5-axis machine yet. We're talking about potentially with some new products getting into a 5-axis machine, but 3-axis is good for what we're doing right now. And we've been doing it for a long time. That's the other thing Jeff had in his background. His father, he grew up in a machine shop doing airplane parts for Boeing and other construction. So he knew kind of already what these machines were capable of. I mean, it's advanced a lot since then, but had an idea of what he wanted to design before he even started Boulder Amplifiers.
How did you get into Boulder, man?
How did I get into Boulder?
Yeah.
So since it's local, I actually met Jeff. I was managing multiple restaurants around Boulder, Colorado. And I met Jeff at one of the restaurants many, many years ago. I've known him for about 7 years, I would say. And I've been with Boulder for 5. And job position opened up, and he saw, my work ethic and how I was with people, and asked if I wanted to change industries. And, I was always interested in audio and had a stereo system growing up. And we would talk about things when he would come in. And so he just really gave me a chance. I feel very lucky and blessed to be in this position now, 5 years later.
That's awesome.
Logan, something I think we need to address is that, right? So Jeff handles the circuitry design, right? But at a certain point, your products really undertook a very unique aesthetic. And so it's not just cookie cutter box, metal boxes that are cut with the CNC machine. Who's responsible for that, and how did that come about?
So in the design process, it's more than just Jeff being an engineer here. There's 5 other engineers, some of which have been here for 35 years. So almost since the start of the company. Jameson, who works under Jeff, has been here for about 17 years. But when it comes to the mechanical design, there's Doug Gower, who's been here for about 20 years, who has helped Jeff with that. And but everyone gets input in the actual look of a new product. So we've actually had machinists who have came up with front panel ideas or heat sink ideas. I've had some, design notes on the 812, for example, the headphone cover. So it's really a collective effort. It's not like there's one sole person. It's kind of a democracy here. We all throw our ideas out and then vote on our favorite ones. And I think it's been like that for a long time.
Yeah,
one thing I've noticed about the different series from a design perspective, right, from a style aesthetic, is that each of the series has a very unique style. Obviously there are design notes that carry through all of them. The color, materials, they got that kind of thing. But if you look at the 800 series, which has the very textured sides, versus the 1100 series, which has a topographical type of motif, versus the 2100, which is very what I consider analytic, right? Look, versus the 3000, which I think is like what people really think of when they think of Boulder, right? It's very interesting that they all have their own flavor and personality. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we were going, distinct differences between the series. And that's hard to do when everything is aluminum and the same color. So you have to do different machining, different sizes, different angles. So, we're limited in some senses, but we've been doing it for so long that we know what we're capable of. And there's minor differences that you can do that will actually make a big change to the eye.
There's a lot of comments, guys. I just checked. And everybody's calling Ray cameraman, so I've won.
Oh my god! Oh no!
Yeah. The Worldwide Ozzy on Instagram said the cameraman is on the show.
You're the coolest, man. We won.
And we
have spoken, man. Sorry.
Yeah, and we have a bunch of people out there saying hello that are coming via Facebook. I can't see who you are, but good day to you as well. Like I said before, if there are any questions, feel free to throw those up and we'll get those into the chat as soon as we can. And,
Logan knows everything about Boulder.
he does.
Almost.
So, will Boulder release a new 1000 series monoblock to replace the 1050?
What was that?
I don't know. So there's a question.
That is an interesting question. It's something that I can say that we're talking about, but I can't say more than that. We do have some exciting things coming a little later this year. So stay tuned. That's about all I can say. I don't want to get in trouble.
And for all of the folks out there asking about that question, there is the possibility of the @Giles McCoy line at Boulder, a small chance, and clearly near zero, but it could happen. So hold your breath for that one and see what happens.
Well, Giles is pretty close, and he can drive up whenever he likes. So come and visit sometime.
That's right.
I'm jealous.
It will look like something to do.
Make sure it's up to your fine standards, Giles.
Well, I do owe a debt of gratitude to Boulder from way back in the day. So when I was first getting started with my channel, I think I was,
like
I don't think I was even
years
on Instagram at the time. Boulder let me review the 866.
866. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was one of my very first reviews back in the day. So, a big debt of gratitude to Boulder for taking a chance on a new guy years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was new as well. So that was kind of around the start of Boulder for me. So
our watch guy.
And it's still a great video. So
yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Hey, Logan, something I was curious about. So you kind of teased out that, maybe in the future we'll be seeing some more compact designs. Is that right?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So it's really started with the 800 series, and we had a previous 800 series, but it just didn't live up to our, design aesthetics that we wanted. So this more so fits the mold. The 866 was a start, and now we have the 812 and newly the 861. And actually, I have an 812 here. So we have the giant 450-pound, products, but now we're making something that someone can pick up themselves and then can fit on a desk in a desk system. So more stuff that's like this that we're doing. The 861 is the same size as the 812, so that'll give you an idea of scale. Because sometimes it's hard to tell from the pictures. We also have the 1161, which has been out for a while as well, which fits in a traditional rack. And that's doing very well for us as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's yet another product that one person can pick up. We don't have too many of those. So
here's one that people cannot pick up.
3060s,
yes,
3050s. Those good luck with that.
What kind of rejection rates do you get? What kind of rejection rates do you get on those chassis?
It depends. I mean, in the winter, it's harder to do blast because of the cold. So we don't, we're very picky about how the finish looks. And luckily we have all the tools here to, sand it back down and then re-anodize it if we don't like it. There's some metal that you just have to reject, but we try to keep everything as consistent as possible. And even though it's
Really cool.
handmade, even though it's
really.
handmade, there might be slight differences, but I think we're a lot pickier than anyone else would ever be. So consistency.
One thing I want to point out about this particular model is if you've ever watched the first Star Wars movie, when they're on the planet Tatooine and the Jawas roll up in their big crawler.
Mm-hmm.
This
Yeah,
looks
I can see that.
We're like on Geek Alley here.
It does. Look at it. If it has some tracks down here at the bottom, it'd be ready to rock and roll. Yeah.
Hey, Star Wars limited edition. There you go.
Ooh,
that would be very cool.
That would be cool.
That would be cool. That would be.
There's probably a couple of Jawas that could fit into it as well.
You can fit a person in there, to be honest. It's huge. So our watch guy loves Boulder. He has a 2108 and a 2110, and he needs some 1000 series mono. So that's awesome.
Oh, and well, I think a lot of us got to actually meet him at.
I didn't meet him.
You didn't meet?
Yeah,
I got to meet him.
I didn't meet him.
Oh, it was cool. He had his watch on, the one we were talking about in the show.
Yeah,
really, that's amazing.
I was hoping to see it. Next year I'm gonna do a sideshow. I'm gonna do watches of Expona.
Do it. I'll watch that. Oh, and there's a question. Have you ever experienced with color black? So there's a dealer, I think, that only that dealer can do the black color, right? Is there something like that? Do you know, Logan?
So it's kind of a special edition, or not a special edition, a special order thing that we do when we do the black anodize, just because there's only one anodizer in the U.S. that has met our standards, and they're up in Oregon. So it's really expensive to do for us, but it doesn't degrade over time. A lot of black anodize will turn purple from the heat coming off the amplifier. But we use this company up in Oregon that does a black anodize that doesn't do that. And they do space parts. So parts that go on rocket ships, so they can take a lot of heat. And it's a really, really cool finish. I posted some pictures on Instagram a while ago of 2150s we did in black. And then there's one pair of 3050s in black in the wild, but that's the only pair. So no one else.
I wouldn't be mad if my amp turned purple.
It's not. It doesn't look like a cool,
not a pretty purple.
It's
it's
like a burnt.
Never.
Yeah.
Well, that question was from Greg Patan about the color black, and then Greg also asked, "Is a new high power integrated coming?"
That's something else that's being discussed. I can say that we are working on a 2100 series DAC currently, a standalone DAC streamer. And so the way we typically like to do things is do the hardest thing first with all the bells and whistles, and then bring that down, take what we learned by doing that, and then bring that down into other series of products. So eventually
and you guys do, obviously, for anyone who's not aware, this is Boulder Amplifiers, but you guys do other products as well, such as you have your DACs and you have a phono pre. I think you have a few phono pre's, and then of course you have the matching preamplifiers with your amplifiers as well.
Yeah, and I will say, like, amplifiers and preamplifiers and phono pre's are our bread and butter, but we're doing some really cool things with this upcoming DAC. So I think that's going to be really exciting for everyone here and also the industry.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that will be very cool for sure. And definitely like your higher end offerings on like the preamplifier and DAC side are pretty cool, because like it is kind of a one box design, if you will, but you do have like all that separation when you build that out.
Right. So yeah, and I understand some people like integrateds because of limited space, but you do get a big step up in performance when you have separation between the components.
And moving it around, because if you buy a 3050 and you want to like switch places, like a pair 3060s, and you're like, oh, I want it over there, you don't have to hire a whole moving company to move your amplifier.
Well, I think it's funny. I was reading the product description for the 3060, and it was saying that it includes that bass because most basses are probably not strong enough to handle the weight of that amplifier.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. How much weight is the 3060? Like 300 pounds?
It's about 330 pounds, 340 pounds. And so with the bass, that's about another 60 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
How do you move these amplifiers around the factory? You have the hydraulic lifts?
So we actually build them on engine stands. So there's some screws that will go through the bottom of the engine stand on the bottom plate. And that's how we can move them around. To get them in crates, we have kind of like a hydraulic lift, but it's a crane, with straps, almost like a pulley system that we can lift them into crates. But even we sometimes, if they're like in our sound room, as I was packing up for Munich, there was 4 of us that had to lift it onto a cart. So we also lift it ourselves.
Wow.
And with 4 people, it's not too bad.
Right. It's not too bad if it's a lot of people, but talking about like the process of putting the products together, how do you test each unit out to make sure? How do you run it in at all, or what kind of testing does it go through before it leaves the door once it's assembled?
So it's pretty extensive testing. So after we'll get the raw boards, we'll run it through the SMT machine and do some through holes, so hand soldering. And then all of those boards get tested in test jigs before they're even put into a chassis. So they're run through extensive testing distortion, different test points. And then once it gets assembled, it goes through another round of tests. So we're just making sure that everything is meeting our specs. We'll run it for at least 24 hours. We'll thermal it. So run it to where the thermal circuits kick on and make sure that nothing breaks. And then every piece gets listened to as well. So the entire process of testing is probably the longest part, because every board before it goes into a chassis gets tested. Then it gets tested again, listened to, burned.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This could be our show. Although we could carry on, but I mean, I hope he's back. Hope he comes back.
Yeah, I hope he comes
I'm sure
back.
he'll be back. As we wait for Logan to get back, for those that are just joining us, we've got Logan Rosenkrantz from Boulder Amplifiers here, kind of with us at the moment. Oh, he's completely gone now. So we'll get back to the Boulder piece when he returns.
Yeah, I was about to ask him an interesting question. I want to know, how do they transfer the heat from the components to the chassis? Do they use thermal paste? Do they use like the metal, liquid metal, or do they solder everything to the chassis? I don't know. I like computers. I want to know that.
Well, at this point, looks like we're talking about our post Exponent show.
That's true. That's
Still
true.
editing, man.
Dude, it was great hanging out with you guys, man.
Yeah, it was good hanging out.
We're back together again.
Yeah. I wish we went on our dates, all the boys together.
Was that just?
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
On that note,
he was like, oh.
On that note,
I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's
No problem.
I don't know.
It happens.
I don't know where I was at. Just talking about
okay. We just gave our exponent
so,
recap.
Yeah.
Daniel, you got a question?
So I have a question. So there's a lot of components in there that produce heat, right? How do you guys get the heat out to the case? Do you solder the components to the case to transfer the heat? Do you guys use thermal paste or liquid metal? How does it work on the heat transfer to the outside?
So the thing that gives off a lot of heat is, the output devices. So what we've done is there's like a thermal paste. It's kind of like a paste. It's like a rubber material. And we put that against the transistors. And then we have a clamp that goes over that and puts it right into the heat sink. Part of the reason why we use aluminum is it's a huge surface area for heat sinking. So it's very effective. Not only do our things, they have the aesthetics that look cool, but there's functionality with that too. The holes on the bottom allow air to flow up, which cools it down as well. So,
and those last forever,
a couple things that we do.
And those last forever, or do you need the thermal pads that you said, thermal paste?
Yeah, I mean, we have products, going back to 40 years that are still being used. There's 2000 series that are 30 years old that still are running with no problems. You know,
That's
with
awesome.
electronics, things happen over time, but our failure rate is very, very low.
That's
And
impressive.
we've
Really impressive.
we've honestly just gotten better as the years have gone on. So these new lines of products will probably last even longer than the old ones. And components have just got more reliable as well. You just didn't have access to it back then.
Yeah, 30 years ago. Yeah, that's awesome, man.
That's cool.
Thanks.
So on your like larger series, if anyone, for anyone who doesn't know, like Boulder's very big on using like the big blue power cord. I think that's 30 amps, if I'm correct. It takes 30 amps. Is that right? So why did Boulder decide to go with like that kind of solution versus just like using, you know, your standard 15 or 20 IEC connection?
Well, it's better connectors and it's used for like heavy machinery. So one, it's more secure, but also that's the power coming from your outlet. You need as much of that inrush as possible to get the highest amount of performance. And there is this notion that, you know, anything with a blue connector has to be on 240, and that's not quite true. It's just on the amplifier end for the connection there. You can have a 120 volt amplifier in the 1100 series or 2100 series and just put it into another plug on the wall side. But the amplifier side is always the big blue connector for those bigger amps.
Gotcha. So
the 3000 series is only 240. The 3000 series is only 240 volt. So,
Yeah.
So you have to do a dedicated line.
So on the 1000 and 2000 series, you can have just a regular outlet, like home outlet, but it's just the blue.
Yes.
Just it still has the big blue.
Right. And so we do the power cords here ourselves. And so we have every connector under the sun. So if someone has, you know, the twist lock that you use for,
Nutrix,
for a refrigerator or whatever, or a dryer, we can do that on that end as well. So,
all right. And what do you think makes Boulder a different company than all the other companies making amplifiers? What is like the thing that you guys make that nobody else does?
I think what's unique about us is honestly Jeff's background, coming from broadcast and recording studios, and just having that kind of mindset in terms of reliability and true neutrality. We're not trying to color the sound or change it or make it more musical. We're leaving the music up to the musicians. And that's just kind of the way he's always done it. I think what also is unique is just how much we do under one roof. And I think that's why we get to design and build the products that we do, is because it's so vertically integrated and we're not outsourcing almost anything.
That's why the price tag as well, right? Everything's made in America. You guys have the quality. Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, that kind of gets into like a question that I had. Sorry. Do you think has the house sound? Does Boulder have a house sound, and has that changed over the decades?
I mean, the house sound has always been neutral, so it's hard to say that it's like a sound, because it's just, you know, I've always told people to, you know, do their tone control with their speakers or their cables, just because it's like a blank canvas. So, you know, your speakers and your room are going to matter a lot more to the sound that you're getting than our amplifiers are going to, but it gives you a nice baseline to just start from. I would say the sound has changed a little bit from the past, but I mean, it's just like going from somewhat neutral warm to more neutral, not cold, but some of our older gear had a little bit darker sound, but that's just because of the components that we had available when designing. And now that we have the surface mount machine, that was a huge step in putting more parts in the same amount of space. And so everything is kind of loafing and doesn't have to work so hard. So that gives you a little bit lower distortion, more tonality control, and better reliability in the long run. So that would be the only reason it changed. But the approach to the circuitry hasn't changed all that much. It's just been refined.
All right. How about Expona? How's the experience at Expona? How's people's opinion on the products? How was that?
Expona was good. It's always fun to go. Quintessence, our dealer there, always puts on a good show, and so we're just there for support. But having the 2150s at the show, I think excited a lot of people because we haven't shown the monoblocks in the 2000 series since CES. So having them there was, I think, exciting. Plus, a lot of people still haven't seen the 3010, so that was really cool. But yeah, I mean, overwhelmingly positive comments about the room and the sound that we get. And, you know, we're lucky to be in that room for 3 years in a row now. So it's gotten better each year because some of those rooms can just be hard to control. And you're given very limited time to do setup and get things right. Yeah. But each year we've improved because we just remember what we did last year and just tweak it a little bit to make it a little bit better.
See, the thing about Expona,
I was very happy with the show.
Yeah, your room always sounds amazing. Like there's no complaint.
The thing about Expona, it's just so overwhelming. There's so many different rooms. Like Quintessence had like 7 rooms, something like that. So
yeah.
We posted our Quintessence video this morning, actually. But I didn't even get around to your, I worked every second of that show and didn't even get around to your room, unfortunately. I'm going to make an effort to get there next year or at the next show. But who's going to be at Munich for you?
So I'm going to be going to Munich, and we're going to be bringing the 3000 monos, and we've actually never demoed those at any show. So it'll be the 3050s, 3010, and 2108. So top of the line amps, preamp, and phono pre, and we'll be in the YG acoustics room. So 2 Colorado brands going to Munich, and it'll be we share a distributor there, so he'll be part of the room as well. So very excited for that, and that'll be the first time that we're demoing at Munich as well. We've had static displays, but this time we'll actually have some music playing.
Is that the first time you showed with YG?
I believe so.
Wow,
I don't want to say the wrong thing, but they, we're pretty much neighbors at a certain point. We're 20 minutes from each other, so they know our gear well. And then we have a pair of YGs here in one of our sound rooms, so we're very familiar with each other's products and how it sounds together.
You guys got to put on like cowboy hats and do the whole Western thing. So.
Yeah.
So if you were going to build the ultimate Colorado hi-fi 2-channel system, what would it be? So what would you do? So I assume it would start with Boulder Amplifiers.
Yeah. So I think I might be biased on that. So but yes, Boulder Amplifiers. And I do think, YG makes a really good speaker, especially under new management now. I really like the direction that the company's headed and their updates to the crossover. So I think they've leaps and bounds gotten better than some of their older materials. So I would have to go with YG speakers. Me personally, what I would want is an 1161 just for the given space that I have, an 812, and then YG, their Peak series, their top of the line Peak series wooden speaker. That would be a perfect system for my space.
Does anybody in Colorado make interconnects?
Not that I'm aware of, but we do sell interconnects that we make here. So.
All right, so there you go.
Gotta hit up Kimber Cable on.
How about
Colorado based?
Who makes turntables?
They're Utah. They're like, ooh, YG's a great choice.
Who makes
YG doesn't color the sound as well.
Anybody make turntables out there in Colorado?
I'm trying to think. Other than like
Giles, no.
What does Air Audio make?
Electronics.
Amplifiers.
They make electronics and DACs.
They make components.
Yeah, they're similar to us in that sense. I don't think they do turntables or cables.
There you
go. So I know Air, you guys, YG, and I can't think of anybody else in the Colorado area.
I just commented. There's Turnbull in Colorado. Makes cables. Makes all cables. Turnbull. That's the name. I don't know.
Turnbull.
Never heard about
Oh yeah,
it.
those cables were.
Yeah, Howard liked those a lot.
Yeah, I mean, look, I just heard the system. You have to hear the cables, swap them out, and put other cables in to really understand what's going on. But the system with those cables was excellent, and I'm very interested in those
Turnbull.
cables.
Okay. I got to look those guys up.
I think they're a new brand, I want to say.
Yeah, no, they're actually what they had at the show were prototypes. So they're going to be introducing their first models in November.
That's great.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, their website says that they're in Richardson, Texas. Maybe I'm looking at something else. Maybe there's multiple Turnbulls, and that's like a distributor or dealer.
That might be right.
Probably.
That might be right.
Yeah, that's cool.
But Logan, let's talk about the newest product for Boulder. I believe that's the 861 amplifier. Am I correct?
Yeah, the 861 stereo amplifier. So it's the product that I held up earlier is the 812. It's the same size as that, but it's a 50-watt stereo amplifier. And for most
that's
people,
Class AB.
Class AB. Yep. So partially in Class A up to a point, and then goes into AB switching. But the approach to the circuitry and the design is similar to the big stuff, just scaled down into a compact package.
And how much is that?
So it's 9,250. So it's under 10,000. And all the machining is still done in house, still hand assembled. So that's about as low as we can do currently.
Yeah, that's great pricing.
Yeah, it's a killer sounding amp. It is a killer sounding amp. I heard it at Quintessence powering the new Sonus Faber Amatis, and I was really surprised to see the entry level Boulder drive those so successfully. So it was really nice.
And it's deceiving because it's a small package and it really punches above its weight class. So it's still new, and I don't think a lot of people have heard it yet. So I'm trying to get as many out there in the wild as possible for people to experience, because it's really cool. And every person that I've been with who's listened to it has been pleasantly surprised with the sound and just shocked at what it can do.
Hit me up, Logan.
Yeah, I'll take one to try.
Everybody's like,
I'll do a review on it,
Well, I'll have some units available, so we'll chat after.
Hey, let's go.
Yeah,
so for
sure.
the Turnbull stuff, they said that Texas is the distribution address, and it's all in Colorado. So I gotta talk to these Turnbull folks. I love to know the Colorado companies, since I'm local to them. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
absolutely. You don't do business in Colorado if you don't first clear yourself with Giles, basically.
That's right.
Yes.
If I don't hold up the approved sign, you're out of business.
Oh my god.
So when are you leaving for the show?
When am I leaving for the show?
Logan.
I was going to say.
What am I?
From
When are you leaving for the show? Yeah.
In about 2 weeks. So we're doing setup on Tuesday before the show. So yeah, I got back from Expona and then put on a t-shirt and started heaving around the 30-50s like the day I got back. So the products have shipped off, so they'll be there on time and ready for us.
How many shows do you guys do a year generally?
It depends. I went to the Texas show, Southwest Audio Fest, and that was a lot of fun. Expona, we'll go to Munich. We're likely to go to the Tokyo show and then the Hong Kong show as well. So kind of cover a lot of the bases. And I went to the Warsaw show last year, and that was a lot of fun. And we were at the UK show as well. So a lot of international shows. I'm trying to do some more domestic shows this year, but it's just time.
Plus,
I was needed
keep
here.
Growing. The number of shows keeps on going. So.
Yep. And we miss having Rocky Mountain in our backyard, but I don't know what the status of that is. There's whispers it'll come back, but nothing's solidified. So.
I don't know. Are you guys on a very high elevation? I don't know. When I used to go to Rocky Mountain, man, that air was just so thin up there.
Yeah, it's definitely a higher elevation than most of the U.S. I mean, just being outside of Boulder, you're definitely in the foothills. So not up in the mountains, but still high elevation.
Yeah. Yeah, I missed that show also. It was good.
Mm-hmm. It was a good show.
Yeah, it was my favorite for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
In the backyard.
Backyard, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Had the
So,
Dallas stamp of approval.
Yeah, I was gonna say it did. Yeah, I would tell Marjorie every year, good job. She was a showrunner.
Yeah. Well, I've seen Marjorie a couple times, so it's always good to see her. But yeah, if you see her soon, just say hi for me.
Right on. Yeah. Every once in a while, she'll visit the Colorado Audio Society meeting. It's been a while, but she used to pop in, particularly around showtime. But this has obviously been years ago at this point. That's another good group of guys, and it might be interesting to have them do a tour of the facility up there one day. Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. I would welcome it.
Yeah.
If I'm
I
ever
would
in
definitely
Colorado,
welcome it.
let you know that's gonna be cool.
We could do a HiFi Mafia factory tour. Giles can go in there.
That'd be sweet.
We absolutely could do that.
We could stream over all of our channels, just like we're doing now. Yeah, that would be
for
cool.
sure.
So
Yeah, well, anyone is welcome to come. I would be happy to have you guys. And we do tours. We just need a little heads up beforehand.
Let's do it. Yeah,
Most definitely.
That would be fun.
All right.
definitely. Yeah, I want to see those big boys being built. It's
Yeah.
gonna be cool.
Yeah, the CNCing and the SMT machine in real life for sure. That'd be sweet.
are you guys going to do Capital Audio Fest?
I don't believe we're going this year, but I know we have in the past. So one of these years when I have time, I definitely want to go. And I've heard that show's grown quite a bit. So
There's a lot more large manufacturers. Yeah. A lot of large manufacturers, and it's a great vibe. You still got the guys with the basement, kind of garage kind of products, and now you have the big companies in there as well. It's just a great laid back show. Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, maybe I'll be able to at least just go as an attendee and check it out.
Well, if you do, let us know, man, and we can maybe do an interview or something, or hang out.
Yeah, that sounds good. I might have some more news by then, so we'll see.
Cool.
All right,
That'd be awesome.
Sounds good.
Just a quick question at the end. Does Boulder ever think about making speakers or only amplifiers only? Does it ever cross your mind? Oh, let's make some aluminum speakers, or compete with that YG a little bit.
Yeah, well, not seriously. I mean, Jeff has had his background in electronics pretty much the whole way through, and he's always said with speakers, there's always a trade-off. There's always something that you have to decide how you want it to sound, and he's like, that's why I love electronics, is I can just keep making it better, and there's very little trade-offs that I have to account for. So I think for his own sake, he prefers sticking to electronics.
I would like to see what a Boulder speaker would look like. That would be pretty cool.
Because the amplifiers guys are killing it. They look perfect.
Yeah, but imagine that design, something like that applied to speakers. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we've loosely talked about it, but nothing serious. So I don't even want to say for the future that.
Right.
All right.
That's not on our docket.
Okay. Morgan, where are you finding the hot areas geographically right now? What's growing? Is it Asia? Is it all over? Or what are you guys seeing?
Well, we really got our start in Asia. Jeff had done the recording studios and different things back, so the U.S. market was always good for us. And then in the 80s, when Japan had their economy was soaring, they were kind of the first international to take us in. And at that time, Japan had a lot of influence over the hi-fi market. And so after Japan accepted us and started promoting our products, we got into Thailand and Hong Kong, China, Taiwan. And so that was kind of the ball that got it rolling. and those relationships are really long term. So a lot of the original distributors we're still working with or have worked with. So we have a good foothold there. The European market has been harder for us. So we're trying to change that and get more exposure there. Hence why we're doing such a big system in Munich, is
Yeah, you guys are gonna kill it.
show people what we can do. So
And
our two biggest markets are Hong Kong, China, and the US, and they're pretty neck and neck.
Are you going to be at the Beijing show?
At the Beijing show? No, unfortunately not. Our distributor will be there, but I won't be there.
Okay.
He goes to all of the shows in China and has been a long-term partner. So we trust him to do that.
Have you guys found the Asian consumer to be different than the North American or European consumer?
Definitely. I mean, the Asian consumers really like big and power, so we're happy to provide that. So a lot of 2100 and 3000 sales happen there, but it's the same in North America, just because there's a lot larger living spaces in a lot of the places where we have good sales. In the Asian market, they're in such a lot most of the time in such a small living space. So I've been into like Hong Kong apartments where they have a 3060 and like Wilson XVXs, and it's an apartment that's barely larger than my office. So it's not ideal sonically, but they're just happy to have it. And where I've been into people's systems in North America, it's a lot larger spaces and let the speaker breathe, and the amps look small in some of those rooms. So
how does it come with warranty? How does the warranty work? Do you guys keep taking care of it for like a long time, or like it lasts for like a year? How does it work?
Well, we service any product from the 2000 up. So since 1994, we'll service and fix any product, and warranty is 4 years after purchase.
All right.
Yeah, and we'll still work on it, but in those 4 years, we'll do it for free if there's anything that happens. But most of the time, that's not a problem.
4 years is pretty good. I would say 4 years is the minimum, that I would consider acceptable. I mean, you got a lot of high-end companies who are selling extremely expensive components with a 1 or a 2 year warranty, and it just doesn't seem for the money and for a company that you would think stands behind what they're building, it doesn't seem enough. So it's good to see 4 years. 5 would be even better, but 4 years is good. Man. So kudos to you guys for that.
Yeah, thank you. And we like to do anything we can to help out. So our boards and stuff are expensive, but it kind of depends on the dealer what they want to charge, or the distributor, whoever's doing the repair. But we try to keep costs down as low as possible if it is outside of warranty.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you so much, Logan. It was great having you over.
Yeah.
You're awesome, man. It's always great to see you at Expona. You and I forgot his name. Sorry,
Kenzo.
Kenzo, yes, yep. He's such a cool person.
No, I do want to ask one more question to you, Logan, before we start wrapping.
Sure.
Obviously, you're a younger guy, just like me and Daniel. I always wonder,
what?
What's
what?
Only
Giles in spirit.
I'm 32.
Me too.
That's a rough 32.
Me too.
I've had a hard life.
32 years without hair. There you go.
Well, I haven't had hair in a very long time. Anyway, sorry, Ray, go ahead.
But I wanted to ask, being the face of a very high end brand like Boulder, do you feel like it's any different, being someone who's a little bit younger, in this world of the audiophile space where typically you see a much older crowd and older people who are in charge of these companies or the face of the companies?
Sure. Yeah, I would say it is different, but I really feel like I've came into my own, and luckily having good mentors here who have been here for a long time has helped speed up that process. But I mean, that's part of the reason why I got hired is, Jeff didn't want to hire someone who's been in the industry for a long time or a salesperson. He wanted to really train someone and build them up and look at things long term. So I'm happy to be doing that. Definitely intimidating at first, but I really feel like I found my way into this position and the confidence to do it. So, but it's nice to see a lot younger faces around the shows too. And one thing I really loved about Expona this year was, a lot more families and a lot more women at the show too, because that's not really typical. So it seems like it's growing.
That was really, I gotta say, that was something that I noticed too at the show. Is I saw a lot of teenagers with their dads or just families in general, and then I even saw some groups of girls that were walking around. So that was really cool to see because it's almost unheard of if you went to the show 5 years ago. So it's really cool.
Absolutely.
To see that.
Even 2 years ago, remember, Ray? 2 years ago we went. There was only old people walking around, which is fine. But this year it was super fun. It was people my age walking around, and it's mind blowing. There was way more media walking with their phones. That was great too. So,
Daniel,
yeah,
once the girls found out that you were there, the whole show changed.
No, ain't nobody running for me. Don't lie like my grandma, right?
So very cool.
That's awesome. So Logan, thanks so much for joining us on this Sunday again. Tell everyone where they can find Boulder amps, where they can see them, where they can buy them, everything like that.
Well, just reach out to us at sales@Boulder Amp and we'll point you in the right direction. We have dealers all over North America. And you're welcome to, reach out to us or reach out to your local dealer and ask if they have Boulder products, and maybe we'd be potentially interested in working with them. So, it's grown a lot, and the 800 series has opened up some doors for us. So we're just excited for these next couple of years and the future of the company.
Very nice.
Same here. Can't wait to
Thanks
see
so
what
much,
you guys
man.
come up with.
We really appreciate your time on this Sunday.
Yeah, thank you so
of
much
course.
for coming.
No, happy to do it, and always happy to see you guys. So
awesome.
All right, take care, everybody.
Yeah.
By the way, thank you so much. I love you too.
Thanks for tuning in, and happy Sunday from the HiFI Mafia.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Giles, Howard, Ray, Logan.